Crane to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media. During the last number of days, Islanders continued to express concern with respect to the provincial nominee program, and in particular to the most recent allegations. While this issue surpasses politics, these are real allegations that must be considered when taken seriously. Since 2008, Islanders know that I have been advocating for truth and honesty on this issue. With that said, the Progressive Conservative Provincial Campaign, nor myself, had no hand in the most recent allegations. This past weekend, because of the actions of the Liberal Party following the recent allegations, I have written and sent a letter to the Privacy Commissioner supporting her intentions for a full investigation of how the Liberal Party of Prince Edward Island came into possession of sensitive and confidential government personal records. Further, how these sensitive and confidential documents were released to the public through the media. This clearly shows the lengths that Robert Giz and his Liberal spokesperson will go to keep the truth hidden. This program injected $400 million into PEI in several months. There's never been a full accounting of the money and where it went. Islanders need to know who benefited from this program, a full detailing of the $400 million and where, as a province, we will go. This issue is one that seriously affects Prince Edward Island and will for many years to come. As previously announced, upon our election, we will immediately enact whistleblower legislation, which will protect public servants who come forward with this information on this file or on any other file. I promise to Islanders upon election we will do our due diligence, investigate all allegations pertaining to the mismanagement of the provincial nominee program, and disclose to Islanders all abuses which will be discovered. This investigation will be independent, free of political bias, and finally allow the whole truth to be shared with Islanders. This shows that we will be a government that is open, honest, transparent, and accountable, a government that can be trusted. Thank you, and I look forward to any question anybody might have.
Ms. Crane, there's a lot of people that think that there is a link between what happened in the Globe and Mail, the article in the Globe and Mail, and the fact that the three ladies came to the RCMP, and thinking that the PC party is behind that push, and that it was chosen to bring that issue right in the middle of the campaign. What can you say about that?
Absolutely no truth to that, but I will say, and I'm looking here, I think I asked questions on the PNP program for 62 question periods. I also brought 84 motions to public accounts on the provincial nominee program. This issue has been on the minds of Islanders and will continue to be on the minds of Islanders. And I've been very consistent that there was mismanagement and abuse by this administration.
But why the Globe and Mail published an article on the Thursday, and then in the Guardian, the PC party had the same day an ad saying, go read the article. How did you manage to know that it was going to be on Thursday Globe and Mail edition?
Well, actually, I didn't know. I know that we have a campaign team that does all our election work. The referral to Oliver Moore's article that he had written in, I believe, December 2010 on the mismanagement and the international embarrassment that this Giz administration has caused with the PNP program, that was the article we were referring to.
Well, in the ad, the PC ad, there were no specific article back in the December editions of Globe and Mail. It was pretty wide, just like if it was meaning this morning edition. How can you explain such a great, it was in the same timing?
Well, in terms of, as you know, ads are booked and our election platform, our election strategy would have been done about 3 months prior to that. The article we were referring to was Oliver Moore's. He's a writer with the Globe and Mail, and he had written an article in December 2010.
But did you expect that the readers from The Guardian would go back in the Globe and Mail archive from December when they would see your ad last Thursday? Is that what you expected?
Well, what we expected was continuing on the quest for this administration to come clean with Islanders and talk about what really went on during their mismanagement of the PNP program. $400 million came to PEI in a short time. It's really the provincial nominee program was a program about people, both Islanders and also the immigration people that came here. It's a huge issue, and it's going to continue for a long time.
I have a question about the women making the allegations. The Liberal Party has said that they were making these allegations with regards to some work from the PC party, that they were doing this during an election time for political gain for your party. Are they working with you at this point?
Absolutely not. The other part is, I'll be clear, and I think every Islander knows on PEI, for 62, and I'm looking at my notes here, 62 question periods. I raised the issues for Islanders on the provincial nominee program, as well as our public accounts. I introduced 84 motions on the misabuse, or trying to get information out on the PNP program through our public accounts. Every time I was voted down.
You've talked about a lot of times that you have direct links with Jason Kenney's office, and that you've been talking to him about getting a new PNP program for PEI. Is there any connection with the fact that they chose to move on this file right now in the middle of an election, and your contacts with them?
Two things. The federal government does not interfere with provincial elections. The other part, in terms of the provincial nominee program, let's not forget the goals of the program were good goals. We want to increase our population here through immigration as part of the strategy. We also want investment for our business community. Again, this present administration misused the program. It was shut down in 2008. Having said all that, when I am Premier, I have no problem with discussing with the federal minister a good program for PEI in immigration.
Jason Kenney's being accused, though, of interfering in Manitoba and Ontario's election.
Well, they're going to have to talk to Mr. Kenney about that, but in this case, I've been very consistent on the misabuse of the PNP program. And don't forget, in that role of opposition, your job is to ask questions for all Islanders. That would include the 600 businesses that were refused participation in the PNP program when the Deputy Minister reopens the program for a select few within a few days.
At least one of the women last week, though, was sort of directly making criminal allegations, and then in the same breath admits that she doesn't have any evidence. I mean, what is your kind of view of that coming up in the middle of an election campaign? It's, anyone could accuse anyone of anything.
Well, I will leave that in the capable hands of the RCMP, but when people bring information forward, what I'm surprised about is the fact that the Liberal Party had released private emails from a minister and a private citizen in The Guardian. Again, coming back, this is a program, $400 million came to the province. Again, the Auditor General had mentioned several times in several areas where there was mismanagement and abuse of the program. That's never been dealt with. And I guess it's quite simple too. If the Liberal Party can release the emails, why don't they release the names of the ministers, deputy ministers, and all the people connected with their party, so people can make a decision on who does what?
Tell us about the referral to the privacy commissioner. What are you asking?
Well, basically, I was surprised to see the emails, especially when there were private emails from a citizen that would have come from the minister's office. How did the Liberal Party access that? So I've supported the privacy commissioner in her looking into this matter.
Did you say you wrote a letter to the privacy?
Yes, I did.
Will we be able to provide that to the media?
Well, because of privacy, you can go speak to her, but rest assured, it's supporting her in her concern about that issue.
But your letter, would you be able to provide that?
That letter, because of privacy, I can't release that letter. But in terms of, it's a letter, basically what it does is support the privacy commissioner to look into the matter.
You say the PC party had nothing to do with any of the things the three women are doing in relation to the PNP. Am I understanding you?
Absolutely.
So how do you explain Marty Murphy's name on as a witness to all of the documents that they moved on to Ottawa and to the Globe and Mail? She's a candidate in your campaign.
Sure, that was a big surprise to me. I had no idea, and when someone told me her name was there and I checked with our election people, They, when I say our election people, George McDonald and the campaign chairs and all that, they had no idea either. Apparently, she's a personal friend of one of the ladies, he had no idea.
What about the fact that the three women were being driven around by a staffer of Senator Duffy's office? I mean, and I think she also worked for your office at one time.
I had no idea that someone was driving the three ladies around. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Okay, well, Mary McQuaid, she was driving them around on Friday.
Again, I have no idea. In an election, every day we're out in the field with our candidates, and of course our election team determine where I go and whatever. So,
Do you like the fact that it's come out during the election, or would you have preferred that it have not come out right now?
for myself, I am consistent. There was mismanagement and abuse in this program's administration, and it's an issue that continues to be on the doorstep of every islander. It's going to be an issue that's going to affect Prince Edward Island for many years to come. And I guess the final thing I would say is I support and have trust in the RCMP for them to do their job.
How do you think it'll affect the election campaign in relation to voters' interest in PNP?
I don't know. I just know that our 27 candidates, including myself, continue to be on the doorstep every day. There's many issues across PEI. First it was all health, then it was health job creation, now it's health job creation, PNP, and trust.
Did you ever go to the RCMP yourself?
Me personally?
Yes.
No, I
With your
didn't.
party?
I don't know, John. I don't know if she did or not.
I mean the party, the Conservative
Oh,
Party.
I thought you said Marty.
No, the Conservative Party.
Not to my knowledge.
If you're proposing a full, are you proposing like a full public inquiry that would, the argument is the Auditor General didn't look into enough files, right?
Well-
I mean, we do, and we've had mismanagement pointed out, we've had recommendations made and acted on. So what you want to do is go back, start from the very beginning of the program, which encompasses a conservative and a liberal government and the whole thing.
I believe we have to go back to the very beginning, but let's be clear with what the Auditor General said. The Auditor General said that the conflict of interest rules should be looked at and rewritten. What we got from the Conflict of Interest Commissioner was a rationale why he made a decision. That's not following through with the recommendations. The other area the Auditor General was very clear on was the breaking of the conflict of interest guidelines through Treasury Board guidelines. He asked that those guidelines be looked at and rewritten as well. We didn't get that either. There's an issue around preferential treatment, etc. But the bottom line is the entire program has to be looked at. It's an issue that affects PEI, but it also affects the immigrant people that have come here. You know, PEI is an export province, and as part of our Canadian provinces, there's huge issues here.
Did you speak with Mrs. Murphy